Well, hello. Welcome to our fifth edition of our Dailyish Devotionals, going through Max Lucado's book. Today we're going to go through chapter 5. It is Monday morning. Hopefully the weekend went okay for you. Hopefully another week of kind of lockdown will be okay. Crazy times. We did our Facebook Live worship on Sunday. I think things went pretty well. The camera operator had some issues, so we'll do some training over this next week, and I promise it will be better next week. If not, there will be serious consequences for that camera operator. I invite you to join us if you're part of Facebook Live next Sunday at 10. If you're not, the link should hopefully go out on the website, or on the website, on the email. If you're not part of my email chain, let me know. Or you can check the website too. I might be able to put it up there eventually. But let's talk about what Max is going to teach us today in this chapter. You've noticed the background is simply Gophers. Roll the boat, Sky Yuma, go Gophers. I've got a little different thing to do. I tried green screen, blue screen to be able to do all kinds of backgrounds. And funny thing, this free editing software is not the most technical. So we're going to try some other things instead. The fifth chapter in Max's book, He Chose the Nails, is about signs. And I imagine this is a sign that we're going to hear and recognize a lot, especially in the coming weeks or months. You're going to start hearing more predictions, maybe more articles written, videos posted about how these signs point to the end in the Bible. And I just say one thing: no one knows except God. So predicting the end isn't fruitful at all, or even trying to come up to it. They've been predicting the end of the world since Jesus, probably even before then, probably since the beginning of the world. Remember, Jesus' followers thought he was coming back in their lifetime a second time. They've only been waiting a couple thousand years now. So the end of the world's been predicted, will continue to be predicted. It's a fruitless enterprise because we truly don't know. I prefer these kinds of signs from God. I thought that was pretty good. You ask for a sign, you got a sign. God's got my kind of sense of humor. Let's dig into Max's book and take a look at what he means when he talks about signs. We're in chapter 5 here of He Chose the Nails. He begins the chapter. He talks about the importance of reading the signs of your spouse. Or if you're not married, the importance of being able to read signs from anyone, whether they're verbal signs or nonverbal signs. He says, Max says, good husbanding is good decoding. You've got to read the signs. He has a story written when his wife was cleaning because someone was coming over and he thought he'd help out by putting together a picture collage. She made some comment about how he wasn't helping. He says, I am helping. I'm putting together a picture collage. And then she goes to bed angry, and he figures he may have missed a sign or two of how he should really be helping and clean the house. If we're human beings in any kind of relationships at all, we've missed signs, right? We've all made mistakes, not interpreted the signs as they should be interpreted. He goes on to say, and he's talking about the journey of Jesus from his arrest to the finally the crucifixion. And remember, he's pointing out some of the details that are offered: the crown of thorns, the spit on the face that we've talked about in the past. And today it's the sign that was posted above Jesus' head, where it says, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Something I didn't know, chapter 19 of John, that the religious leaders asked Pilate to change the wording on the sign. Pilate wrote a sign and put it on the cross. It read, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. The sign was written in Hebrew, in Latin, and in Greek. The sign was written in, many of the people read the sign because the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city. The leading priest said to Pilate, don't write the King of the Jews, but write, this man said, I am the King of the Jews. Pilate answered, what I have written, I have written. Two things I didn't know. I didn't know that it was written in 3 different languages, Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. I think that means almost everybody could have read the sign because you would have had the dominant language of Latin from the Romans, the Greek language, and then the common language of that country or that area would have been the Hebrew language too. So everyone could have read Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. I also didn't realize that the religious leaders wanted it changed to say, this man said. So Max asks, why is a sign placed over the head of Jesus? Why is its wording trouble to the Jews? Why does Pilate refuse to change it? Why are the words written in 3 languages? Why is a sign mentioned in all 4 Gospels? Remember, if something's mentioned in all four Gospels, it's probably a big deal. If all four of the Gospel writers thought it was important to include it. Of all the possible answers to these questions, let's focus on one. Could it be that this piece of wood is a picture of God's devotion, a symbol of his passion to tell the world about his Son, a reminder that God will do whatever it takes to share with you the message of this sign? I suggest that the sign reveals two truths about God's desire to reach the world. The first, there is no person he will not use. You think about it. The thief on the cross, as he's dying and as they're all being crucified, says, "Remember me, Jesus, when you come into your kingdom." And that thief believes in Jesus right there. God used Pilate, the man who crucifies Jesus, or at least in charge of the authorities who crucified Jesus, to save a thief on a cross through a wooden sign. He goes on to talk about C.S. Lewis, who's converted to Christianity from an atheistic professor. He says, "A thief is led to Christ by one who's rejected Christ. A scholar, C.S. Lewis, is led to Christ by one who didn't believe in Christ." He was emphasizing that God can use anybody. No one he will not use to spread his message of love. The second thing that Max says reveals, the second truth Max says, is that there is no language God will not speak, as evidenced by the sign written in 3 different languages of the time. Max says, every passerby could read the sign, for every passerby could read Hebrew, Latin, or Greek, the 3 great languages of the ancient world. There is no language God will not speak. Max asks the question then, what language is he speaking to you? Sometimes we wonder where the signs of God are. Where's the evidence of God in the world, especially when the world seems to be going insane? I wonder if sometimes we look too far up. There's a great quote in one of the best theological movies. It's Bruce Almighty. And I'm not joking. You haven't seen it, watch it. Some fantastic theological truths in that movie. One, I'm convinced God looks like Morgan Freeman and talks like Morgan Freeman. No doubt in my mind. But Bruce is pleading to God, looking up at God, Morgan Freeman, as he's climbing up into the ceiling. He keeps looking for a sign, and Morgan says, "That's your problem. You keep looking up. You should be looking around." And I encourage you to do that too. You're wondering, where is God in all of this? Where is a sign that God is with us in all this? Don't spend all of your time looking up. Look around. See the people helping. See the good that is still happening in this world. Feel that good in your heart. And then, if you want to take it a step further, find a way where you can be that good, where you can share the love of Christ, where maybe you can be a sign of God's love to someone else. If God cared enough, and if God can use a wooden sign on a cross to save a thief, if God can use all the characters that he used in the Bible to spread his message, then God certainly has use for us. I guess I find myself repeating that often, that God will use anybody. I think it's because I want you to know that you are worthy of God's love. And God will never abandon you no matter what your past is or who you are. And I think too often we travel down that road that I'm beyond saving. Never the case. Never believe that. God is always with you. So, look for the sign, maybe be the sign. I look forward to talking with you again tomorrow. Hello, stop.